I feel like we need to talk about FSBOs and technology all at the same time. All of the systems that I do that work perfectly until I need them.
I know, right?
Yep.
I get it. That's how I feel about Mojo sometimes when it's like not working. I'm like, what the heck? Now I got to hand dial these warm leads. Oh, I'm so lazy when I used to just hand dial anyways. And now it's like a struggle to do such. Yeah. But I started with for sale by owners, so it was easy to hand dial them because there's only, a handful at that time. And then as the market started getting better, there's more and more and more. I'm like, dang, I need a system for this, Right? I need to get something going for it. But dude,
I started compounding. That's when I was like, okay, so I know I was calling 3, now it's 7, then it's 10, then it's 15, and it was something that became a barrier for me because I was like, oh, I have to hand dial this, and you get distracted because you're working from home and it's like, I'm going to go do laundry instead. It keeps you in the groove.
Well, I started with for sale by owners as like my first lead source, right? Like that I was calling. Mm-hmm. And then I moved on to cancel and expired. It's probably like a year, 18 months later. I'm like, damn, this cancel expired thing is way easier than for sale by owners. And there's a ton of them. I was like, okay. But eventually I kind of missed for sale by owners a little bit because there wasn't as much competition because it was a lot harder, right?
Yeah.
Commissions is a little bit tougher. But my experience has been when a client's really hard to nab, they're really good to keep, right? So
once you get them, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because for one, they're loyal for the most part. They're loyal to themselves with how strict they're going to be with who they're going to talk to, what they're going to allow in their lives, if they're going to pay a commission, all that stuff. And the other important part of this is, and I wish I would have known this years earlier, but like when somebody's really tough, there's a lot of people that aren't going to follow up with them, right? And sometimes I'd be like a little crybaby, and be like, oh, I'm not following up with them. What a jerk, right? Then there's other times in my career where I'd be pissed and like super aggressive. I'm like, I'm going to keep calling these guys over and over and over again. And I would get them, right? And they're like, nobody else is following up. So, yeah.
Well, before we dive into steps on this, because I'm really excited. I know I've heard you talk on this, which is amazing. You are definitely the master of FSBOs. I will tip my hat to you, sir. But everybody that's watching, welcome to, I'm realizing I have the wrong background here. See, this is what happens when technology isn't working for you. We're going to try this. There we go. Hey, look, we did the things. So this morning, welcome to Coffee and Contracts. I've got coffee and protein shake in hand this morning. But we are here to dissect and download on for sale by owners. I know I made some pretty big claims in my post last night and this morning. What would an extra $20,000 look like in your bank account by the end of the year? Like what would that do for anybody that's watching? What would that do for you? Drop it in the chat box below. Would that be something that you would? I mean, some people might not be much. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever. I hit half my operating costs. For a lot of you guys, it would be a big change. It would be less stress. It would be coming into the new year with like a plan and feeling positive about it. So that's what we're here to talk about, because that's very possible. I mean, you could get that off of one or honestly just two lower priced properties. I mean, under 300,000, you could be looking at $20,000 in commissions. We're going to talk about kind of the step-by-step that James has created of how that works. So if you guys are on live, drop live in the chat box. If you are watching the recording, we love recorded people too. Drop recording in there. We want to see what time zones you guys are in. But we're going to kick it off. James, you had done a YouTube video, and I'm not sure how many of you guys, go ahead and drop it in the chat box, have seen this. I know myself, my team, I know we've talked about it before, but actually seeing this video, I even jotted down a bunch of notes, and I've done for sale by owner expired for years. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of nuggets. So, we wanted to kind of take this morning because we're coming into Thanksgiving week, right? Everybody has already taken off. I hope not. I hope you're watching and you're working and you're doing the things. Turkey Day is one day. Preparation day, you could maybe say 2. We do stuffing. Wednesday afternoon and evening is definitely prep day for my family. It's a lot of fun. But we're gonna dive in and show you guys what an extra 20K can possibly look like in your bank account. So, James, I'm tipping it up to you. I know it's a conversation, but you just got such a phenomenal plan of action that you've turned it into a true process versus randomly calling people and hoping they say yes. So I want to highlight that for everybody that's on the call today.
Yeah. So for sale by owners, like I was saying in the beginning of our talk, was how I got started, right? So they were free lead source. You could get them easily on Craigslist and Zillow and then Marketplace and whatnot. So I just started hitting those over and over and over and over again. And what I found was that the follow-up process was the key to really getting them, right? Empathizing, not being a jerk. Because a lot of times they'd be like, wait, you're a real estate agent? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, you're not really, like, you're not a jerk and you're not douchey. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, dude, honestly, like that would happen often, right? They're like, well, everybody that we talk to that's a real estate agent says that we're dumb for trying to sell the house ourselves. And you're like, hey, go for it. Give it a shot. Like, why not try,
Might as well.
Here's the biggest thing that I think anybody can do, right? It's like newer team members. Like I hardly ever take a brand new agent as a team member. I've done a couple and I have two right now that are amazing and they've done really well. And the reason is that I don't generally do that is because people need to get their teeth kicked in a little bit, right? Because when they come to us, they're like, dang, yeah, being for sale by owner is really hard. This is going to hopefully make it easier, right? Which we do make it easier. And then the team members, right? They got to go out, try to get their business. And if they can't, then they come to us and whatnot. So, so you want to give those for sale by owners a little bit of time to season and ripen, right? So, and then they'll fall off the tree and come into your hand or they're ready to pick at that time. But I always thought it was super important to follow up on Mondays and Thursdays or Fridays with them. Right.
See, and just to be clear, so you're calling them as they're hitting the market, but you're making sure you're making an esteemed effort to call them on that Monday and Friday. Is that right?
Oh yeah. So if they come in on a Wednesday, I'm calling them on a Friday, right? If they're coming in on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm calling them on Monday. Right. I don't really like prospect on the weekends. I've done it maybe a little bit, like 5 times in my career. It's a good time. But anyway, so I digress. So I call them on Mondays and Thursdays or Fridays because on Monday they've had open houses, they've had to stay at their house the entire weekend, they've had to deal with unqualified buyers and whatnot, or lease to own or rent to own. And so I asked them, hey, how did the marketing go over the weekend, right? Just touching base. Is there anything that you need? I want to be that constant person that's following up with them to see what I can do to help them. And then honestly, remind them of how crummy the situation is, right? Of being for sale by owner. Like, hey, so you had to stay at your house all weekend, right? Yeah. How was that? Oh, it sucked. Like my kid had soccer and I had to come back for a showing and yada, yada, yada. So Mondays I hit that, right? Fridays I call them and it's like, hey, what are you doing for marketing this weekend? Oh, are you doing another open house or what's going on? Have you had anybody serious? Well, we just have, we got some people that want to come see it this weekend. So we're going to stay. They said they're not 100% sure, but so we cancel our plans for the weekend. So we're going to do an open house just in case. And then we did have like 4 people call and they want to see if we could do lease to own or rent to own, right? Or do an owner carry. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So have you gotten any really good pre-qualified buyers? No, not yet. Oh man, that's crazy. Cause I'm just looking on the MLS right now. In the last 72 hours, we just had 63 properties that went under contract. Yeah. Do you mind me asking why your property hasn't gone under contract? They're like, oh, right. So
and I'm going to pause you there. That if you guys come back and watch the recording and write that down, if you notice, like James, you didn't go, hey, you're an idiot.
No,
it was you tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
They know, even we've been through this. I know you call me out. I've called you out where it's like, what's happening, but you just need to say it out loud for you to realize what's happening, and sometimes just hearing them out and then them realizing, oh, okay, allowing them to come to their own realization is not a bad thing. It's actually helpful because now you're not putting them down. You're just having a conversation. So I love that. Come back, write down that script, guys.
Yeah. So you want to remind them of what they're missing out on, right? Which is what they're missing out on is when they're working with a real estate agent, there's 63 properties that have gone under contract in, 72 hours. And sometimes that's in 24 or 48 hours, right? I just do this 72
Even
because
in
it's
this
a good
market.
representation. Yeah. But so you're reminding them of what they're missing out on, right? And then they're automatically gonna think, wow, like what am I doing wrong here, right? What are they doing right? It's like with anything, right? On YouTube, you watch somebody and you're like, dang, they got this going on, right? Like I want to find out more about this person. So you want them to be intrigued by what you have to offer by doing that. And
I
then,
love that.
I always send a thank you card. I always send a with forget me not seeds. I send my card in there. I send do a home bot or my home IQ, right? To drop that in there. I'll set them up on a search so that they can on MLS that's really particular to their area, their square footage, so that they can see what's hitting the market, what's pending, what's fallen, what's come back on the market, so that they have all the information that they need. Because by the time I follow up with them a third time, I'm going to say, hey, have you been looking at the HomeBot? Yeah. So you have an idea of what your value is. Yep. Okay. And you've been seeing the MLS search that I set up for you, right? Yeah. I've seen that as well. Okay. If you have all that information, why do you think your property hasn't sold yet? Like, I've been trying to give you every resource that we can. Is it okay if we meet tomorrow at 1:00? Like, and I can show you how we've been able to get these other properties sold. And I use my statistics with for sale by owners, right? So we sold 318 properties last year. 73 of those were for sale by owners that we converted, et cetera, right? So those aren't exact numbers for last year, but at one point in time, I did convert 73 for sale by owners in 1 year. So,
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's just plug away like any schedule, right? And make sure that you're empathizing, showing them what they're missing, showing them what you can do to help, and realizing that that's the hardest, in my opinion. And I don't know if you would agree with this, but in my opinion, it's the hardest lead source to convert, right? So for one, they don't want to pay a commission. Two, they don't really like real estate agents. For three, they have this I can do it on my own mentality, right? But the second you convert them, they're generally going to be extremely loyal. They'll probably try to sell another property for sale by owner or tell their friend to try something for sale by owner. But what's going to follow right after they tell their friend to go for sale by owner? Try it for 2 weeks. If it doesn't work, call my guy James, right? But at least give it a shot. So I already have the in at that point. And I've had tons.
That's the question too. Like when you get on the phone with them, I've always asked this question: how long do you intend on, selling your home, attempting to sell it yourself before hiring an agent for the job to sell it? And that question, in most cases, some of them are like, I'm never hiring an agent, it'll sell. But when they answer that question, like, honestly, it's usually like, oh, well, we were going to try it for like 2 weeks or so and see if we can do it. No offense, we'd like to avoid the commission, but if we can't, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, they've already got the door open. Now, I would say my question for you is, I love the process. Where do you go with the first conversation? And I say that there's plenty of scripts out there. I'm sure everybody watching has seen scripts, read scripts. There's a plethora out there, and some of them are more pushy than others. And it makes a lot of agents uncomfortable doing that because it just pushes them off, right? So like, what kind of questions are you asking, and are you attempting the appointment in that first call?
Yeah, I think with any type of prospect, right, you have to realize that they're a human being still, and being pushy with somebody like that is generally not going to work, right? And if it does, like, you're probably going to get a canceled appointment on you. So I always go into it like, hey,
you're just saying yes to get you off the phone at that point sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to call them and they're going to be like, hey, I didn't know, I'm good with the appointment, or text you later and be like, hey, something came up, my mom's grandma has a hangnail or something like that. So yeah. So my initial conversation is basically, hey, good morning, Kayla. It's James Mitchner. How are you today?
Hey, good. How can I help you?
Hey, good. I'm a real estate agent with Realty One here in town, and I was just giving you a call. You have that property on 123 Main Street that's for sale. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, and that's for sale by owner at this time. Is that right?
It is. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, and it's still available.
It is. Yep, it's still available. Do you have a buyer?
Okay. Yeah. We work with a lot of buyers, but just real quick, I just got a couple questions for you. So you don't have any contracts on it at this point?
Well, we had a lot of showings this weekend. I've been getting a lot of phone calls, people that are really interested in the property. Yeah.
Awesome. So I just always keep track of off-market properties just in case we have any buyers that don't find anything on the MLS. So I'm constantly looking at for sale by owners. Do you mind me asking why it hasn't sold? Because I'm looking at our hot sheet right now, and in the last 72 hours, we've had 67 properties go under contract, and you're at like the perfect price point, the square footage, the beds and baths. So do you mind me asking why yours hasn't sold? Is there something wrong with it?
No, no, there's nothing wrong. I mean, everything in this house is custom. It's beautiful. We did the back deck. We did this. We did that. We did this. I just think it's the market. I think buyers have gotten too picky.
Okay, absolutely. And by going for sale by owner, obviously you're limiting the eyes on your property. Because obviously we're working with people that are pre-qualified. Their 67 properties just went under contract in the last 72 hours. What's the reason that you went for sale by owner and didn't want to get the most amount of exposure for your property, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I appreciate you asking. And honestly, it's we really want to make sure we're making the most on this property. And
Mhm.
with how much agents get paid, we really can't afford to be paying an agent and still make the most on our property. Things are selling left or right, like you pointed out. So, we
Yeah,
think we can sell it and still make money.
absolutely. So question for you, Kayla, where are you guys moving to?
Oh, why do you ask?
Oh, I'm just wondering where you guys are going. I got a lot of clients that are moving to like North Carolina, South Carolina, or just down to Phoenix. So just trying to get an idea of where we put our marketing dollars, because there's a lot of people transferring back and forth from different areas, but there's always like three common ones, right? So just asking.
Oh, I mean, we're gonna stay local. We really just want to downsize.
Okay, perfect, great. And then how soon are you hoping to do this?
I mean, we honestly we can sell whenever. We
Mhm.
really aren't pressured into selling, which is nice. We can have this on the market as long as it needs to take to sell. Because we really we're in no rush, which is
Yeah.
great. We
Okay.
can we're not under contract on anything else, so we can take our time.
Perfect. Do you have a house picked out already? Or like if you get this under contract, where are you gonna how's that gonna work? If I brought you a buyer that needed to close in 21 days, they're a cash buyer, they're transferring here for a job and they have to get this house, what's your plan at that point in time?
Honestly, we'd probably, if we had to, we'd rent. I mean, if we're going to be able to
Okay.
get the most out of it, we can rent or we can move in our RV or, we might find something once we go under contract. But, at this point, it's really just getting this house sold.
Absolutely. So you're looking to downsize, you're gonna stay here in town, which is great. I love when people actually stay and don't move because it makes our community stronger, right? And there's real no timeline, is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, once this sells, so, we don't have to sell, but
Yeah.
we would like to.
Completely understandable. So, question for you, Kayla. Obviously, you have the property for sale by owner at this time, right? And you're doing well. I like the pictures. I think it's marketed well. Obviously, I don't know why it hasn't sold when all these other ones have sold that are like kind of yours. Let me ask you this: if you could keep your house for sale by owner and have us work for you on the listing it on the MLS completely free, right? Like we're not going to get paid until we bring a buyer for you, but you're marketing it and my team and myself are marketing it. Would you be open to the idea of us kind of getting together and me taking a look at the house and seeing what we can do so that you're marketing it, we're marketing it, and you're getting those two different sets of marketing components on it?
So I'd be able to sell it for sale by owner, but you'd market it for free for me.
Yeah. So basically, what would happen is if you found the buyer, right, you wouldn't owe us a commission. But if we go in and we do all the marketing, we're going to pay for all the photos, we're going to pay for the sign, we're going to get every single website out there blasted. If we're able to attract the buyer, then at that and get a contract on it with the buyer that we bring, then we would get paid, right? But on the other end of that, if we don't and you end up finding your own buyer, you can say, hey, James, you need to cancel that listing. We already found our own buyer through Craigslist or Zillow or Marketplace, right? But at least you're getting two sets of eyes on the property or two sets of marketing components rather than just the one for you.
Um, I mean, yeah, what's your commission?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And obviously, you probably looked at the commission savings on Google when you went for sell by owner, right? So generally, agents are going to be able to save you or make you 8 to 13% more than if you were for sell by owner just through some marketing and negotiation tactics. But totally open to discussing that. Do you have any time tomorrow or today at say 12 o'clock or tomorrow at 1?
I could do tomorrow at 1.
Okay, perfect. So I'll see you there then tomorrow at 1. I'm going to send you a text or give you a call about 2 hours beforehand just to see if anything's changed. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Kayla. I know this house is going to sell. Sounds like you guys are ready to do something and get moving, but I love to offer you being able to sell it at the same time we're able to get in there and help you and get our hands dirty a little bit too. So I'll see you tomorrow at 1, okay?
Great. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thanks, Kayla. Have a great day.
You too. So I hit you with some of the most common ones. What's
Yeah.
your commission? What do you mean it's free? I didn't want to hire an agent because of the commission, the commission split. So I love the way you went about that. So if anybody's watching, drop your comments on what your takeaways were on that. But there were so many different pieces where it didn't feel pressury, right? And I think that's
No.
the big thing. It doesn't feel pressury. Now, if I refused to meet with you, if I
Yeah.
was like adamant, it's not happening. We're selling
So
our.
do it. Yeah.
So look, James, I get it, man. Like I know you're an agent. I know you want to sell this house. It's not going to happen. Like we're going to sell it ourselves. We have no
Yeah.
intent. If you've got a buyer, we'd love to have you over. But other than that, we really are going to sell it ourselves.
No, absolutely, Kayla, and I totally get that. Do you have any time like tomorrow where I could just stop by and take a look at the house and just
I
give
mean,
you my card?
do you have a buyer?
I won't have a buyer with me, but one of the great things is we sold 318 properties last year with my real estate team. So we're constantly getting buyers in, but I always like to preview properties just in case we do have a buyer that comes up and there's nothing on the MLS, but they want your property. But I never show a buyer an off-market property without seeing it myself because I don't want to waste their time or my time and lose credibility, right? So if you're open to it, then I could definitely stop by tomorrow. 1:00 takes 15 minutes. Just do a quick walkthrough and then be done.
Can you do 2:00?
2:00. Let me take a look. Yeah, I could do that. So it'll probably be 5-10 minutes then because I got another one I got to scramble to at 2:45. So
Okay. And just to be clear, we're not signing anything. We're not sitting down at the kitchen table. Like it's really just a walkthrough.
yeah, that's fine. Yep, absolutely.
Right.
I'll give you my card, my marketing plan, and then if you have any questions, you can give me a call at that point in time. So nothing huge.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
So what I'm doing there, right, is you raise your chances about 75% more by getting a preview appointment than you do not meeting that person, right? So over
Yeah.
the phone, people are keyboard warriors, right? But in person, you can build rapport, you can build you can do so much more in person than you can over the phone. So
People are less likely. I will say this, you guys. I actually texted this to my team on Saturday. The people that are super mean or sound grumpy, it's always grumpy old men. I don't know why. It's the funniest thing, but they always sound grumpy on the phone until you get in the room with them, and they're like
yeah.
thanking you for showing up. And it
Yep.
happened not once but twice. I'm doing a little challenge for myself to put together a course for you guys, actually, which is 0 pipeline to 6 figures. And so I basically like wrote off my entire pipeline. I let it sit. And now I'm coming in as if I'm you guys applying the things that we're teaching to show you what's really possible. And in doing these calls, I had 2 appointments. One of them I'm going to take just after Thanksgiving. One of them I sat down with the guy on Saturday and he signed right there. So the interesting thing is a lot of us get scared when we're on the phone because they are coming at us what feels like almost combatively, right? Like they sound angry on the phone. Just remember, they're not angry at you. Most times they're just frustrated with the situation at hand. And the situation is their house hasn't sold, agents keep calling them, et cetera, et cetera. Once you get in the room with them, whether it's a preview or an actual appointment, they're usually big old teddy bears, or at least they're not as abrasive because it's much harder to be abrasive in person than it is to be abrasive over the phone.
Yeah. And somebody just asked a question, how does that play out when you get in the house preview it? You're previewing it. You're not bait and switching. You're not doing that. Because if you bait and switch, you're going to lose them, right? You're going to go there. You're going to take a look at it. You're going to say thank you. You're going to hand them your card and your marketing plan and say, if there's anything you need, let me know. I'll be in touch. You're going to follow that same process. You're going to follow up with them on a Monday or a Friday. And you're going to follow up with them on Monday and you're going to follow up with them on Friday, twice a week, right? So, but guess what? You already have one head of, like, you have an advantage at that point because you've met them in person. So now they know what you look like. They know how you feel. They know what you do. They have your marketing plan in place. So it builds familiarity. You can go in there and crush it. So
yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that's the other thing too, whether the person, I'm going to point this out, I, as that for sale by owner, I agreed to you coming to a preview, whether I have agreed or not, you now start off that plan. That system has now been started. Whereas, okay, every Friday and Monday, they're going to hear from you. Like, regardless, I'm going to get a call from you every Friday, every Monday. And guess what? You guys, I was calling some old FSBOs, old expireds, and I got a wrong number. Oh my God, wrong number.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was, I mean, the person was, courteous. But they said, yeah, I said, I was calling about the property. And they said, wow, very interesting. They said, I got a lot of calls about a month ago. Side note, when the house came off the market, got a lot of calls about a month ago, but I haven't heard anything from anyone in some time. You're the first person to call in quite a while. And it was an eye opener for me. I mean, I knew these statistics, but most people are not willing to make a decision the first call, the first day.
Yeah.
Still call, doesn't mean skip it, but it means be persistent, because people are willing to do something on the 8th call, 10th, 12th, 15th, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take that consistency. And we might see that as agents as, oh my God, that's a lot of work. But if you look at it, it's a few seconds. And if you're using a dialer that you're just going right through, going, here's my follow-ups for the day, you could get through 30 follow-up calls and drop some voicemails, even if it's just touching in less than 30 minutes, like 30, maybe 45. All right.
Yeah.
If you're really pushing. But it's doable. And that little bit of time compounded will bring you $10,000, $20,000 commission checks, which I don't know what the average is in your area. Ours is about 350 or so.
We're at 425, 450.
Okay. So one contract, that's putting what, close to 12 to 15,000 in your pocket.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's just incredible. Yep.
Now, we just had another great question. What dialer system do you recommend? So now I use Mojo as my dialer system. I also use Mojo Data. I've never really gone off of it. I've always been successful with it, so I never made a change. But I know you use Vulcan Data, don't you?
I love Vulcan Data. I think it's the best data. It's a little bit more expensive, but I noticed that there is another guy in my market who's a big time producer. He's amazing. And he kept getting the listing signed. I'm like, dude, I have called these guys over and over again. I've never gotten a hold of them. And then I found out he was using Vulcan 7 data, right? So I ended up getting the Vulcan 7 data. And then when I found out about Mojo, I have the Vulcan 7 data transfer into Mojo, and I call off that. And it's just been amazing. So
I've been thinking of making a move myself. Now, question for you, because I like things that are easy, which I know we're going to talk about this today as some systems ourselves, but does it do an automatic transfer? Can you set it up like that where in the morning it transfers in?
Yep. Vulcan 7 is tied in with Mojo. So, and if anybody has any questions about Mojo, send me a DM on Facebook and I can give you a link. You can go talk to them and get it all set up. So
yeah, same.
Honestly, ask me and Kayla any question that you have. Like we're open books. Like we're doing this for a reason to help other people. We love the coaching aspect of it. I have a couple one-on-ones. Kayla does too, and we're going to be doing some group coaching here pretty quick. So just ask all those questions right now and get yourself set up for 2023.
100%, which that leads us into the next conversation here. So first off, I'm going to recommend to you guys, whether you're watching it live or recorded, go watch this again and make sure to go. It's in the group. I'll find it and link it in the comments. But James did a YouTube video on this. It was literally 10 minutes of like the most packed content I think I've ever seen in a YouTube video, by the way. But what we've talked about here today and the script practicing that we just did or role play, start writing that down too. Really it's coming from confidence. You saw James wasn't reading off of a script. That's because it's here at this point, but it's not that FSBO is going to follow the script directly. Like I'm going to make that clear to you guys. Like they don't have the script. They don't know what the script is. So if you're expecting them to answer from that line, say this, it's not going to happen. So understanding other ways in which to roll them back into the conversation or navigate that conversation is what's going to make you a stronger agent in closing them. And fortune is in the follow-up. FSBO stands also for a follow-up. You have to follow up with these people. It's essential. So we actually we're launching. We're actually talking about this today. Sign up should be up by the end of the day, if not early tomorrow, for
Nice.
our group coaching, which is being released. Yay. So we've talked about it over and over. And honestly, guys, we were not going to do it for quite some time, but we have had so much feedback on this that people are like, can you do it now?
Yeah. And it's $69 a month. Like, it's not, you're going to get so much value out of that. So, and if you're not willing to invest $69 a month, okay, if you're not in any type of training, you're not in any coaching or doing anything, and you're interested in this and you can't, and you're not willing to put $69, go. I got a great place that's hiring during the holidays: Lowe's, Home Depot, Dillard, and Kohl's. So go there because they will hire you. And if you can't invest in yourself, go work for somebody else, right? So
harsh and so true all at the same time.
Yeah.
But we're going to be bringing that to you guys. The conversations that we're going to be having around that is going to be broad. And along with that, you guys are also going to get, which is really cool because you guys are going to be the first ones to sign up. So the first group of people signing up, you're also going to get business training. I say business training, business planning. It is Monday. I haven't finished my coffee yet. Business planning. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to be able to hit your goals because you have no goals. So goals are great. Plans are better. So we're going to be able to guide you guys through that. And that is included with early sign up. So we'll have that out today with more details. I'll send an email as well. We'll blast it all over the group. But it's going to be super exciting. We've got some specific courses on for sale by owners, on running a business, adding leverage, how to train your assistant. I mean, you name it, we're going to help you guys build out a true business in 2023.
Heck yeah, we are, because we've done it.
We've done it. We've made the mistakes.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to ask you.
You've already lost his hair on some of the mistakes, right?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question, Kayla. You can answer this or you don't have to. I'll answer it because I want you to ask me back. But what's the most amount of money you made in 1 year in your real estate business?
$645,000.
Cool. Sweet.
How about
That's
you?
amazing. 1.4 million. So, yeah. But here's the thing, you guys. You're talking to two people that have collectively made $2 million in real estate a year, and we're going to give you all those secrets for $69 a month. Like, and we're going to work with you through that, and you're going to be able to ask questions, and we're going to have the community, and it's going to be freaking fun, right? Like, I love this. Kayla loves this. This is the reason that we've done this, is because we're ready to watch you guys grow and kick some butt. So
I was gonna say we don't put videos together for the fact that we don't like doing it. So it actually does take time and effort.
It does. Yeah, but it's fun to watch people grow. That's for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, recorded, live, I don't care. Drop your comments, your takeaways, and your questions below, because we do come back to these threads to help answer your questions. And we will have that group coaching launch coming at you, and I will make sure to send you guys a link. So from the East Coast and the West Coast, we hope you guys have a fabulous Monday. Happy Thanksgiving. And thank you to all of you.
Yep. Enjoy your time with your family. Take the time.
Yes.
Don't work. Yeah.
Yes.
So, cool. Thank you, guys.
Later, dude.
Hey, bye.